We can all agree that Mega Evolution is one of the best gimmicks added to Pokemon. The ability to take an already awesome Mon and evolve it further, greatly increasing its power and changing its appearance, truly made you feel like an elite level trainer. And with the upcoming Legends ZA bringing Mega Evolution back for the first time in 12 years, putting Mega Evolution back in the spotlight yet again, I decided to see if I can beat Pokemon X, the game that introduced the gimmick, using Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, but without using it. Now, obviously this run will be a hardcore Nuzlocke, but also some Mega Evolutions were added later in the generation, so I decided to stick true to the rules and only use Pokemon whose Megas were introduced in Kalos. And because we do not get access to any encounters before the first gym, I decided to let Fate choose my starter. On a wheel I put all the white version exclusives and I spun it and we got Heracross, and as someone who respects the game, we can choose our starter, get some balls, and the run officially begins. We immediately head to the first gym, and this is no issue for our bug. A single aerial ace KOs the Surskit, and the butterfly comes in and increases its defense, but we can eventually take it down with a flurry of aerial aces. Nothing special, but we defeat Viola and claim the first gym badge. And straight after the gym, on Route 4, we search for a Rolls, and this took far too long. So long, in fact, that we found a shiny bee before even encountering a Rolls. But we do eventually find Rolls, and we catch it and add it to the team. Up ahead in Lumiose, our Rolls shines in the battle against the Professor, KOing the Bulbasaur without taking any damage. It also takes down Squirtle, and then Heracross can come in and finish his Charmander. And our reward for defeating him in battle is we get to pick a starter from Kanto, all of which can Mega Evolve. But somewhere down the lines I cocked up. It's fine, because I didn't want one anyway. I'm sure at some point our luck will change, but not right now, as after another extraordinarily long hunt for a weak Psychic type, Abra just teleports away. Wonderful. After a lot of story nonsense, we can get into a cave and catch Meditite. Now, if you saw my last video, shameless plug, you will notice that Medicham can be scary. I mean, its ability literally doubles its attack stat. It can make anything a beast. But, spoiler alert, I do not catch that vibe at any point during this run. But looking at Meditite on the team, I don't want Heracross to get a bad bat from carrying, so I decide to pick up an Absol on the coastal route to get a bit more power in the squad, but we are not done there. We can then pick up a Kangaskhan in the cave, and after defeating Team Flare and smashing some rocks, we can pick up an old Amber, and we revive it instantly to get the beastly Aerodactyl. I'm feeling a lot more confident now looking at our team than I was 5 minutes ago. And you know me by now, I cannot give up the opportunity to get one of my favourite ever Pokemon. I can pick up a Houndour just north of Sillage City. Not because it will help with the upcoming gym, because we do not need to strategise at all. As against the leader Grant, it is over in 2 moves thanks to our starter. 2 Brick Breaks, 1 per fossil, 2 Okos, 1 Heracross. What a Pokemon. And again it proves its use against the double Lucario fight, as Heracross can handle both. A Brick Break leaves the first on 1 HP, but we can finish it off with an Aerial Ace, and the second can't survive the Brick Break. Unreal. And at the Tower of Mastery we battle against Serena, and I decide to leave Heracross on the bench as Aerodactyl takes centre stage. We take down Meowstic in 2 bites, which brings out Braixen, her starter. We outspeed and it barely survives a Rock Tomb, but an Ancient Power finishes it off the next turn. Her own Absol is out and a Rock Tomb brings it below half, but the damage it deals is negligible, so we can finish it off the next turn. We immediately head to battle the leader, Karina, and I don't even prepare for this battle. I lead with Gardevoir and we trace Mienfu's inner focus so we don't flinch after fake out and can OHKO with confusion. Machoke comes out and we just outspeed and OHKO with another confusion. Her Ace Hawlucha is out and it sets up a home course as a confusion brings it low. She heals up and we can just bring it low again. And after taking a flying press, we can finish it off. No sweat, no drama. And before I do the whole Mega Evolve Lucario shenanigans, I head east and pick up another encounter. There are two possible here, the 5% Pinsir or the 5% Horde of Mareep, and we get the sheep, which I'm secretly happy with. We are then forced to Mega Evolve Lucario, the first and only time this run, and for our troubles we get said Lucario as a gift, so I guess it was worth it. Unfortunately, this game gives you no time to breathe at all, so we have to fight Serena again, and her team hasn't changed. Like, at all changed. So Aerodactyl smashes her again. Possibly the most pointless rival battle in Pokemon. Let me know if you can think of any others. And speaking of pointless battles, this guy, what even is this? Ramos calls himself a gym leader, but he is a joke. 3 flies, that's all it takes. Not because Aerodactyl is amazing, but because Ramos is shit. And to reward myself after such a difficult battle, I catch Cynthia's baby Gibble in the desert. And straight away we head to the 5th gym, the electric leader Clement.
The future is now thanks to science!
Kangaskhan can fake out the Emolga, and after taking an aerial ace we land a Dizzy Punch, bringing it low. Clement potions up and another Dizzy Punch doesn't even bring it to half. We bring it low again and he potions, but we get a crit, bringing it back below half. They then Volt Switch, bringing us below half, finally into Magneton on a resisted Dizzy Punch. I then switch into Houndoom as they set up the electric terrain, but it is futile as I can KO from that range with a Fire Fang. His ace Heliolisk is out and we outspeed, now Fire Fang does big damage and flinches so we can finish it off the next turn with another. Emolga comes back out and we miss our Fire Fang, but connect the next turn for the KO and the victory. Yep, you can't guess what comes next, another rival fight, and this is just as pointless as before. Her party has barely changed, all that's changed is that her starter is fully evolved, that's it. I still switch up our strategy just to keep me sane, to be honest. Ampharos can paralyse Meowstic and then Houndoom can come in and smash it with a super effective stab bite. Absol comes in and after a quick attack our Fire Fang does 2/3 and we outspeed the next turn and finish it off. Her starter comes out and now it is a Psychic type. 2 bites later we can finish off the Fox. Houndoom coming out on top in the Fire K9 Showdown. And staying true to myself after another crazy difficult battle, I treat myself to yet another encounter, this being Haunter in the Swamp. Gengar truly is an all-timer. And speaking of all-timers, Houndoom proves once again it is in that category against the sick leader, the fairy specialist, Valerie. Mawile survives a Fire Fang deep in the red, but uses a Hydro Potion to heal up, and because of the iron defense they set up, a second Fire Fang doesn't even do half. We bring it super low again and she uses her other potion, which plays exactly into our hands. 2 Fire Fangs later we can get the KO, bringing out Mr. Mime. A Fire Fang does over half, but they only set up a light screen so we can take it out the next turn with another. Her ace Sylveon comes out and this thing is deceptively good, as all evolutions are. Of course we fire off a Fire Fang and it doesn't do too much, but it does flinch. The second one brings it below half, but a Dazzling Gleam does big damage to our Pooch, so I switch into Kangaskhan on another, but a fake out Dizzy Punch combo finishes off the Fairy Gym. Next up is more Team Flare stuff, and it is just so boring. They don't pose a threat whatsoever. At the Pokeball Factory we destroy them solo and in a double battle. And again, in the Snow Cavern, it's an absolute walkover. There's no thinking required. These battles they're more annoying because you have to do them than difficult. But I think the whole me not having to think and the fact that this isn't particularly challenging was my downfall. Me not concentrating in a Nuzlocke is a bad combination, and that is evidence in the next rival fight. Aerodactyl can take Meowstic out in 2 crunches while staying nice and healthy. Jolteon comes out and I switch into Kangaskhan on a double kick that thankfully does little. We go for a fake out, and the next turn we can do huge damage with the Dizzy Punch, which confuses, and the next turn it goes down to confusion. First starter Delphox comes out and brings us low, but we do get a crit off, bringing it below half. So I switch into our dog on a Psychic. We can then KO with a Bite the next turn. And as you can see here, I left the XP share on. This is bad as the majority of my party just reached the level cap, and I haven't entered the gym yet. This massively distracted me from the current battle, which leads to the upcoming events. A Fire Fang almost does half as we get crit, bringing us low, and then instead of switching, I stay in. I honestly cannot justify it. I don't know why I did this. Our Fire Fang leaves it deep in the red, and we fall to a slash. Heracross can thankfully come in and get the KO, but man, am I so heartbroken. My puppy is gone. It's not much of a replacement, but I bring Medicham into the squad and take on the 7th leader, the Psychic Specialist, Olympia. Sigilif sets up a light screen, which is annoying, but we do over half and paralyse with the discharge. We can then finish it off with a Thunder Punch. Slowking comes out and we almost KO with a Thunder Punch as they use Yawn. They heal up and we bring it low yet again, but we fall asleep. We stay asleep for a few turns and they heal up and do a little bit of damage with Psychic, and when we wake up we can bring it back low again, but they only set up a Calm Mind so we can finish it off. Her final mon and ace is Meowstic, and when it flinches us with Fake Out, it activates our static ability, and with it being paralysed we can 2-shot it with Discharge, claiming the penultimate badge. And the first battle against Lysander in the Team Flare HQ is usually nothing interesting, but I totally forgot about this battle. Our team isn't even fully healed. Medicham is out against Mienfoo, and this Pokemon is actually abysmal, so I have to switch and I go into Gardevoir on an Acrobatics, but we can OHKO the next turn with a Psychic. Gyarados comes out and I don't want to send Ampharos in as it will just get outsped and destroyed before we can KO. So I think the best option is to let Gardevoir go. But before we fall, we do get off significant damage with the Psychic, and then we get taken out by Ironhead. Ampharos then gets brought low by an EQ before taking it out. Pyroar comes out, and as we are weak, I have to switch and I bring in Aerodactyl on a Fire Blast that crits. A Rock Tomb brings it super low, and a Fire Blast brings us super low and burns. I can't stay in as we would KO, but we would die to burn damage, so I bring in Kangaskhan who can Fake Out for the KO. Murkrow is out and a single crit Dizzy Punch can OHKO, defeating the Team Flare leader. The super weapon emerges from the ground, destroying the town, and we have to go and stop them, because that's what heroes do. But before we save the world, I decide to pick up a snowman for our team, purely because the wheels are well and truly coming off, and tactically I need to give myself a break to refresh. And with that break, I was actually ready for the next battle against Lysander. I lead Aerodactyl and we can outspeed and OHKO his Mienshao with a Fly. Gyarados comes out and I decide to stay in, and a Rock Tomb lowers its speed and they miss their Aqua Tail. I then switch into Ampharos on an Aqua Tail, but thanks to the speed drop we outspeed and KO. Pyroar comes out and we survive a Fire Blast super low, and a Power Gem does big damage, so we switch into Medicham, but we are instantly brought low. I decide to stay in because, let's be honest, if I lose Medicham, I won't shed many tears, but we avoid another Fire Blast, and a Power Up Punch can KO from that range. Honchkrow comes out and I decide Medicham has earned the right to live for now, so I switch into Aerodactyl, and we leave it on what must be 1 HP, but Steel Wing does little, so we can finish it off the next turn. And after progressing all the way through, the evil Team Flares at base, we have to face down against him one last time. He doesn't know when he's beat.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
His team is exactly the same, apart from the Mega Gyarados, that small issue there. Aerodactyl one-shots Mienshao yet again with a fly, and this brings out Honchkrow. We miss our Rock Tomb and have to tank a Steel Wing. Brilliant. I decide to go for an Ancient Power which does over half and gets the boost. I cheekily go for another which KOs but no boost. At +1 we can Oko Pyro, which brings out Gyarados for the last time. I switch into Kangaskhan as they Mega Evolve, and an Aqua Tail does 2/3. A Fake Out does little, and then I switch again into Medichal on an Iron Head. I decide to stay in, and we outspeed and crit with a super effective stab, huge power boosted power up punch which does like about 50% before being destroyed. Well, Medicham played its part, and the death isn't in vain, and we can bring in Ampharos to bait the EQ and switch into Aerodactyl, who can outspeed and KO with Fly, beating Lysander and finally shutting down Team Flare for good. And with all that story shenanigans out the way, we can press onwards with the gym challenge, and on Route 18 we get another encounter which is Lairon. Aggron is truly one of my favourites and just one of the coolest designed mons ever, so of course it joins the team. But it doesn't star against the Professor. I think it's cool that you battle the Professor who has 3 starters, but why does he have the Kanto starters and not the Kalos ones? Anyway, Venusaur is handled by Aerodactyl and Blastoise falls to Ampharos, and so does Charizard. Who needs a Kanto starter, eh? The rival fights on the next route seem simple, but due to them being back to back, it can easily trip you up. First is Shauna, and I lead Aggron, our newest member. Her Delcatty stands no chance, and we take it down staying healthy. Gudra comes out, and expecting the Earthquake I switch into Aerodactyl and then go into Absol, but Dragon Pulse does big damage. I can't just keep switching around, getting our team weak, so I switch into Kangaskhan, who can Fake Out and KO with an Outrage. Her final mon, her starter Greninja, is out, and I switch into Ampharos and have to tank 2 extra Sensories thanks to double teams, but eventually Oko with Discharge. I then have to take on Tierno without healing, so Aggron comes out, and we can Oko Talonflame with a Rock Tomb. Crawdaunt comes out, and I switch into Ampharos as they Swords Dance, which is super scary, but thankfully we outspeed and Oko. Roserade is out, and we survive a Petal Dance on 4 HP and get off some chip damage. We then obviously switch into Heracross, who can KO with an Aerial Ace from that range. Thankfully we get healed before the final battle, and Trevor faces us down with his Raichu. Thunderbolt does huge damage to our Aggron, and our Rock Tomb does about half and lowers speed. I bring in Ampharos to tank the electric moves, and we can KO with a couple of Signal Beams. Flawdress is out next, and this is an annoying one. They can't really touch us, so they just lower our special attack with Confide, and we just press Discharge until we KO, and this brings out his final mon, his own Aerodactyl. And even with our special attack lowered, we can comfortably 2-shot. And with the rivals out the way, it is time for the final gym leader, but this wasn't as simple as he always is. Probably because I lost our fire type, I don't know. Anyway, we lead with Aggron against a Bomber Snail. Energy Ball almost does half, but it's okay as our Iron Tail Okos. But Hail brings us below half as Cryogonal comes out. I switch into Ampharos and they confuse us. An Ice Beam does little, but with confusion damage and Hail we are built to almost half. We take another Ice Beam and hurt ourselves, and take Hail damage. And with us on just 16 HP, I have to switch into Heracross. Thankfully, we switch on a soft Ice Beam as the Hail stops. They confuse again and we hurt ourselves. Another Ice Beam brings us low and we hurt ourselves again, bringing us into the red. What on earth is this look? Kangaskhan comes in and Fake Out does almost half, and we get confused again, but breakthrough for the KO finally. His final mon, Avalugg, is out, and we do hurt ourselves this time as they set up a curse. We get some confusion luck and snap out of confusion and confuse them with a Dizzy Punch, and they hurt themselves. It's physically bulky plus the curse, so I decided to go for a Surf, which does do more damage but still negligible. And then a +1 Avalanche just straight up KOs Kangaskhan. I did not expect that at all. I thought we for sure would have survived the move. I bring out our super weak Ampharos, but we can outspeed and finish it off with a power gem. I have never ever had trouble with him before, and I feel ashamed and embarrassed. But that is all 8 badges collected. Victory Road is, as always, a walk in the park, and the only thing between us and the Elite Four is the final rival battle with Serena. Absol sets up a Swords Dance and Oko's Meowstic with a Night Slash, and then Altaria gets the exact same treatment. Her starter Delphox comes out and I switch into Garchomp on a Flamethrower, and after tanking a Psychic we can Oko with a Dig. Her own Absol is out and we can just Oko with a Dragon Claw, and her final Mon is the best evolution, but we can just Oko yet again with a Dig. My god, Garchomp is good. And it's time for the Elite Four, and I'm happy with our team, arguably one of the coolest looking teams ever, I must say. So I just pray to Arceus and head straight on in. Seabold is up first, the Water Specialist, and honestly I chose him because it's a simple battle. Ampharos Oko's Clawitzer with a Discharge, and then we Oko Gyarados with another. Barbaracle also gets one shot, and then Starmie is out and it sets up Light Screen, so we don't Oko, but we tank a Psychic and finish it off with another. Nice and simple. I then opt for Malva next, as her fire types can be scary, but our team kind of handles them well. She leads with Pyro and I with Garchomp, and we can Oko with a Dig. Talonflame comes out and I can stay in, and we fall just short of the KO with a Dragon Claw. She full restores so we can bring them low again with another, and she burns her second full restore and we bring it low, survive a Brave Bird super low and get the KO. Torkoal comes out and I switch into Aerodactyl on an Earthquake. A Rock Tomb does over half and they set up a Curse, but another Rock Tomb thankfully KOs from that range. Chandelure is her final Mon, and a Rock Tomb does huge damage, and we tank a Shadow Ball awfully well before claiming victory with a Crunch. I then decide to take on the Steel Trainer Wixstrom next, and he leads with Klefki and I with Garchomp, but we can just Oko with a Dig after they set up spikes. Probopass is out and we can easily take it down, staying very healthy. Aegislash is out, a Crunch crits and does huge damage. They heal and we do some chip with Dragon Claw before getting our attack lowered by King's Shield. I then switch into Absol, who gets smashed by a crit Iron Head and gets KO'd. I'm not sure if the crit mattered, but man, that is rough. Our luck this run hasn't been the best. Garchomp comes back out and can finish it with another Crunch, which brings out his final Mon Scizor. We can't stay in, so I switch into Ampharos on an Iron Head. A Discharge does 2/3 and we can outspeed and KO with another. And the final Elite Four member is Drasna, the Dragon Specialist, and with 5 Mons this could be tough. I lead Garchomp against Dragalge and we can Oko with the Dragon Claw. We then Oko the Altaria with another Dragon Claw. Noivern does huge damage with a Dragon Pulse, but we Oko and poison damage leaves us on just 17 HP, so I of course switch into Ampharos as Judagon goes for Dragon Tail, switching us out into Aggron, but it does also paralyze. A Heavy Slam does big damage, but we almost get KO'd from a Revenge. I bring out Ampharos again and a Dragon Pulse gets the KO from that range, defeating the Elite Four. It's now time for the champion, but with only 5 Mons, it's going to be tough, especially with that Mega Gardevoir. But enough chit chat, let's get to it. Champion Diantha. She leads with Hawlucha and I with Aerodactyl, and we thankfully Oko with a Fly. Tyrantrum is out next, one of the coolest Gen 6 Mons, one of my favourites, and I switch into Aggron on an incoming Head Smash, then after tanking an Earthquake, we can KO with an Iron Tail. Goodra comes out next and I switch into Garchomp on a Focus Blast, which misses, and then we can outspeed and Oko with a Dragon Claw. Aurorus comes out and fearing the Ice move I switch into Heracross and Oko with a Close Combat. Her penultimate Mon is a Gourgeist, which oddly was the most annoying so far. I switch into Aerodactyl on a Trick or Treat, a move that does nothing, right? Well, we go for a Fly and they go for a Phantom Force, and as we are faster, we miss ours and they can Oko due to our Ghost type. Livid. Ampharos comes out and we do a lot of damage with a couple of signal beams, but we get the ghost type and there is an incoming phantom force, so I switch again into Heracross. They heal up but we KO with 2 aerial aces. Her Ace Gardevoir is out and immediately Mega evolves. But a super effective Stab Mega Horn connects and OHKOs the Mega, defeating the champion. This challenge was super fun, but I think it proves that most of the Pokemon who are capable of Mega Evolution are already some of the best in the game. But not being able to Mega Evolve does make some battles fun to work around, although I do think it could have gone a lot smoother at some parts. I thank every single one of you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more wacky Pokemon challenges. And if you have anything to add or a run to suggest, let me know down below in the comments. And with all that said, stay classy and have a wonderful day.